Hello and welcome to the Fantasy Wildcard Rewind. My name is Hannah and I'll be your host for the evening. And as usual, I'm joined by my two excellent co-hosts, Paul and Mags. And football is back, baby. So let's get right to it and rewind week one.
I just want to rewind to when we were young and hard. Back to all those good times. Take me back to the start.
Guys, football is back. Week one was awesome. And one of you is smiling at me like a Cheshire cat. And one of you is looking pretty depressed in their non-NFL civvies. So there's one game that we've got to start with, isn't there? Arizona at Kansas City. Go on, Mags. What happened?
Well, exactly what I said was going to happen happened. That is what happened. The Kansas City Chiefs absolutely never in doubt, absolutely annihilate the Arizona Cardinals 44-21. And I mean, Patrick Mahomes, just like the great Roy Jones Jr. once said, y'all must have forgot, right? Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback in the NFL by far. It's not even close, right? One absolute legend. Patrick Mahomes destroying the Cardinals. Clive Edwards-Helaire coming out, looking like the running back that was drafted in round number one. Spags on the defense usually takes them a while to warm up. Really, really impressed with this new look Kansas City defense. Came out, didn't look under pressure, looked composed. The new guys looking pretty strong. And yeah, you just got to love it. Plus, cherry on top, Hannah, I got both my predictions right for this one. I predicted the Kansas City win. I predicted Travis Kelce will get the most targets, and he did. But also, quite nice, Juju Smith-Schuster just one behind Travis Kelce. Looked like he was having a good game. Had that one moment when the ball was punched out. But apart from that, loved it. I thought the Chiefs might even get off to a slower start than this for the season. But, so far, so good. The Chiefs moving up in everybody's power rankings for sure. And Paul, you got to say those words. Just like last week we agreed. Let's hear them.
Go Chiefs, go.
Yes,
that was pathetic.
That is what we want to hear.
I'm not putting any more into that. You're lucky you even got that. To be honest, I thought about turning my volume down while you were talking because, one, I think it's bad that we lost, and two, I think it's even worse that you made this the first game we were talking about as well, and three, you sat there in your Chiefs top and it's all just thanks, guys. But yeah, all in all, it was a pretty poor display by the Cardinals. I think, again, Cliff Kingsbury doesn't have a plan B. He had a plan A. He stuck to plan A. Plan A didn't work. He stuck to plan A. He stuck to plan A. And he stuck to plan A. And we don't do anything. So, yeah, on to the next one. But yeah, so we'll go straight into Thursday Night Football. Bills beat the Rams 31-10. The prediction was by Hannah was Bills to win, Allen to throw a touchdown first, and you got them both correct. What do you think, Hannah?
This was the best I did at my predictions all week, so I'm going with it, taking that as a win. Look, it was a real dominant Bills performance, wasn't it? I think Von Miller really showed his experience, and I think that he brought something extra to that defense. He gave them confidence, and because the Rams had to factor for him, he gave other D linemen opportunities. We already know that the Rams O-line is going to struggle a bit. There's been quite a few changes, and it was really obvious that it was. I think Von Miller really is going to add something to this defense the whole season. He's a two-time Super Bowl champion, and I think he's going to bring that mindset to the Bills D, and I think that's really going to raise them that extra level. I think the Bills are looking dangerous already, and when I made my Super Bowl prediction this week, I thought this is way too chalky, but they have come out of the gates firing on all cylinders, and I think it's going to be a really interesting season. little bit disappointed that Allen Robinson didn't get that many targets. But I had a look at video afterwards and he was open so much. I think once him and Stafford start to gel a bit, I reckon he's going to get peppered with targets. He was under a lot of pressure with Stafford, so I think he was just chucking the ball down to his favourite receiver, Cooper Kupp. And as usual, Kupp was showing how dominant and amazing he is. We all know that he was going to get double covered, but he still managed to get the ball. So I think there are some things that the Rams need to improve on, and I think they will over the season. They're still on a bit of a champagne headache from the Super Bowl. They just need a bit of time to get going. But wow, the Bills have got going in this season opener, and I think they're going to be really fun this season. What did you think, Mags?
Yeah, absolutely agree. The Bills looked very, very impressive. Rams lost a couple of people, especially on the defensive side, through either injury or retirement. They got a bit of work to do, so it's going to be interesting to see how they adapt. And let's not forget, they didn't fly out the blocks last season either, so this Rams team needs to build up momentum, but don't count them out just yet. So impressive win for the Bills, but the Rams aren't dead and buried just yet. And you know, speaking of dead and buried, we have the next game, which was the 49ers, Paul, losing to what I thought was going to be the worst team in the NFL, the Chicago Bears. And Paul, you had two predictions for this. You, in my opinion, quite rightly predicted the 49ers were going to win. And then you also guessed that Deebo Samuel was going to get under 6 carries. Paul, you got them both wrong. Deebo ended up with 8 carries. What did you think about this game in those horrible conditions?
Oh, this game. Try and find me somebody that didn't think the 49ers were going to go there and turn them over. Nobody's seen that come in. And it's probably a bit of a wake-up call for the 49ers. Probably a bit of a, you know, we need to up our game with everything. I think all in all, I think Fields really struggled in that game. I think, you know, if you look at what he did in the first half, how they even got the win, you'll never know. You know, I think that big 51-yard Dante Pettis touchdown was just really bad defending by the 49ers, more than it was a great play by the Bears. I think it was a bit of luck and the fact that he had nobody on that side of the field. The Bears defense, the one thing I did pick up from the Bears defense was they were really disciplined. They didn't give many penalties away. I don't think they actually gave a penalty away from what I read in the NFL. In the second half, they didn't give a penalty away. I believe the 49ers gave away nearly 12 penalties and 99 yards in penalties or something. You know what I mean? That's insane. You against the Bears, they're not going to punish you. But if you played somebody like, I don't know, say the Chargers or something like that, you give them all that, they're going to punish you all day long for that, you know? So the 49ers really need to up their discipline a bit. Lance had his flash moments. You know what I mean? I think you can all quite easily sit back and look at him and go, yeah, you know what? He can put it on the money. He can rush if he needs to rush. But, you know, again, a bit like Fields, he was up and down throughout the whole game. I'm trying to put it a bit down to week 1 jitters. He's been named the starter. He's starting for them. And I think he just needs a bit of settling down. I think he needed a win. If he'd have got a win, I think his confidence would have gone through the roof and he'd have done a bit better.
Yep.
Onto the Deebo side of things, I think Deebo, you know, if Elijah Mitchell hadn't gone down, I think they'd have kept running the ball through him. I think he got more carries based on Elijah Mitchell going down injured. From what I've seen today, I believe he's going to miss multiple weeks. Yeah, which is pretty standard for a 49ers running back, if I'm honest. But, you know, so I do think Deebo, with his carries, it was a bit of game script and the weather, and I think things went in his favour. So, yeah, I got them both wrong. But I think if you asked me that question again for next week, I'd still tell you the same answer. Yeah. Well, I suppose Elijah Mitchell being out, I'd probably say he's going to get the over. But with Elijah Mitchell in, I'd definitely say he's under again. So, and I definitely back the 49ers to beat the Bears again. So, yeah, it was all good. But, yes, that takes us on to one of the best games of the weekend. not our game of the week, but one of the best. Hannah, you had I've lost it now. You had the Eagles to beat the Lions 38-35, and the prediction was the Eagles to win, and Aiden Hutchinson will not get a sack.
I mean, Paul, you're getting your predictions wrong. You're getting the show sheet wrong. It's just all. I'm predicting these things here. I predicted the Eagles to win, and Aiden Hutchinson to get a sack. And Paul, unlike you got them both wrong. I got them both right again because I know what I'm talking about, Paul Picking. So I predicted that the Lions would run them really close, and they did. The Lions are making a habit of losing close games and playing well, but at the end of the day, they've come out again with an L. Quite sad for them, but there are a lot of positives. Aiden Hutchinson, actually, he had a bad game. I think if he had a good game, then the Lions may well have snuck this and may well have won it. Hutchinson only made one assisted tackle the entire game. Didn't tackle anyone by himself. And, if he had a bigger game, the Lions would have had more of a chance. But I do expect him to rebound from this, come on a little bit better. And can we just take a moment to just say AJ Brown is elite, right? He is the real deal. He made Jalen Hurts look pretty good. Jalen Hurts, I'm still so worried about his arm. He made 18 successful throws the entire game. That's not elite level quarterback play. AJ Brown, of course, really, really helped him get over that 200-yard mark. And you know what? It's looking like a pretty good combination. AJ Brown is making Hurts look like he can throw the ball better than he can throw the ball. So let's see if they can keep that going. But yeah, I'm a little bit worried about the Eagles. They just beat the Lions, who were one of the worst teams in the league last year. So it'll be interesting to see what they do going forward. But Lions can take positives, Eagles will take positives, and I'll take those two correct prediction scores.
So it going back to the show sheet, it says I'm going to give a reaction now, but I'm going to let Hannah speak because I totally stole your bit. So Hannah, what did you think of that game?
Yeah, I think it was great fun, wasn't it? I mean, everyone loves a close game, right? These Lions have got heart, they've got spirit, which is exactly what we thought they'd come out being. But can they eventually win those close games? That's what they need to start doing to start making any progress. So we'll see how the season progresses. But I think they came out with a really good showing this week, and I'll be interested to see how things go next week.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. And the next game we had up was the Browns, who beat the Panthers 26-24 in a pretty close game. And unfortunately, Baker couldn't quite get it done. I think we were all kind of rooting for him. And Paul, you had the prediction. You thought the Panthers were going to win. And you also thought that Christian McCaffrey would see more rushing yards than receiving yards. You got that one right. It was 33 versus 24. So, Paul, what do you reckon? What do you think of the game?
I thought it was a pretty boring game. First half, it was pretty standard. There wasn't much going on in the game. I think both teams were trying to warm up a little bit. It took Scott Hansen saying we're into the witching hour for Baker to go, I've got to play football now, have I? And I thought they were going to come back. I think it was the Browns who fake snapped it, didn't they? This is when their game-winning field goal. They fake snapped it and then actually snapped it, and that's I've seen that tweet today that said that should have been a penalty. They shouldn't have got away with that, but they did get away with it. They get away with a lot up there in Cleveland. There's a lot that passes by, but yeah. So I think the Panthers were unlucky. I thought they were coming back in the end, and I thought they may sneak a win, but CMC's usage was probably a little bit down to what we all expected it to be. I don't know if maybe they're being a bit cautious about using him early on in the season and maybe actually want him to play a full season and not just like 3 games and go for 5,000 yards and break every bone in his body, So I think they were being a bit cautious with what they were doing. But yeah, I ultimately I'm not very good at this picking the winner kind of thing, really, But
I know.
no.
so much for that Baker Mayfield revenge game, eh? I think we all, like you say, wanted it to happen, but it didn't. Look, I am really not a Browns fan, obviously being a Bengals fan, and with everything that's gone on this season, I don't really like them at all, but I do have a little bit of love for their new kicker, Cade York, a rookie coming in. He hammered all of those extra points and field goal. He just totally reminds me of McPherson last year. No one thought or knew anything about him, and here he goes making money, and I reckon Cade York's going to do that again this year, for sure. So on our next game, Dolphins hammered the Patriots 20-7. Now, Mags, you did predict a Dolphins win, but here we have your first incorrect prediction with Tyreek Hill over 1.5 touchdowns. He actually had none, which is unfortunate, but he did have quite a big target share. So I'll let you off for thinking this might happen. How was the game, Mags? What did you reckon?
Yeah, just a bit gutted Tyreek Hill couldn't get those touchdowns. He looked great, looked really, really strong. Not the best game, really. Like, obviously, you can tell with the scoring, we were wondering what the Patriots offense was going to look like, who's going to be calling the plays. Turns out no one was really calling any plays to the Patriots, right? It was fairly poor. Like, everything was, here's an inside handoff, here's a short throw inside the numbers. And that was just constant all the time. And the Dolphins kind of figured that out, and there was nothing exciting coming from the Patriots, really. I mean, there were two real highlights of the game. There was a lovely throw from Tua to Jalen Waddle that kind of split the defenders. There was like 3 defenders trying to catch it at once, and it was really nice, but nowhere near as good as Ty Montgomery's roly-poly into the end zone. Did you see that? That was so awesome. So that was the best part of the game. Ty Montgomery doing a little schoolyard roly-poly like he was rolling down a hill and he was 8 years old. So that was my favorite part of the whole game. And gotta say, Chase Edmonds, shout out to our friend Matt, Chase Edmonds looking very, very sharp. So that's a good sign for the Dolphins for sure.
Yeah, so I actually said the Pats would win, but I was very wrong. They did not even look in the game at all. I thought the Dolphins looked okay, but from what you're saying, I may be looking at a different Dolphins to what you watched. You know, I thought they looked quite decent, and I think Tua needs to get them wide receivers running. They're super fast, and they can tear any defense up. Look how easy Jalen Waddle like split that whole defense. You know, if he can get Hill and Waddle doing that, they could beat the best of the teams. Like, you know. Absolutely. But yeah, so that takes us on to one of the biggest shocks of the weekend, and that's the Colts to draw with the Texans 2020. Yeah. Hannah, you predicted the Colts would win, and the Texans don't score in the first half.
Epic fail, basically. Yeah. Before I start, I mean, I've got to say, Jonathan Taylor, what a beast. I mean, this Colts offense basically ran through him most of the night, and he was pulling off some decent runs. I thought the Texans played actually really quite well. Again, similar to the Lions, they have this kind of underdog spirit that you can see they're always, going for every play. And I actually quite enjoyed watching them, really. They moved the ball much better than I thought they would. And I thought the defense had some decent plays as well. I thought Mills did show some good things. And I do think there's evidence that he could be a reasonable starter in this league. Whether that's with the Texans long term, I'm not sure. But I think he does have some accuracy and he makes some good decisions. So I think we'll probably see some good things from him this year. And who would have thought that OJ Howard was going to appear from the dust and get 2 touchdowns? Nobody, and especially not me, as he was on all of my fantasy benches. I actually think this game was a tie because the Texans allowed it to become a tie from 2 errors that they made. One was from that punt where he said fair catch and didn't catch it and ended up on the 1-yard line. And then that turnover giving the Colts a short field. I think if they hadn't have made these silly errors, I reckon they could have gone on and win this game, The Colts didn't actually look that bad. I think Matt Ryan will be pretty good in this offense and I think they'll get going. But really it's Pittman and Jonathan Taylor, and there's not much else that's shown anything yet. So we'll see how they get going, but I really like this spirited Texans team and what the show does.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. The Texans, I think I said last week, the Texans are a real team now, right? The Texans addressed a lot. The Texans had an excellent draft. And yeah, it looks like Stingley looks like a really, really good player. Great to add for that defense. And, my guy, Davis Mills, I told you guys, Davis Mills is a real deal. So hopefully he'll continue on that. And, we're going into our next game. The Ravens, they beat the Jets 24-9. Paul, you guessed, Ravens win. Absolutely correct. And you guessed that Breece Hall would score a touchdown. Breece Hall did not score a touchdown. In fact, you're going to talk about a bit of an interesting role for Breece, right?
Yeah, I think this was the only game of the weekend that actually went the way that it should. I think every game there was something that went different to what we all thought, and I think this was the one that was quite textbook. Everyone backed the Ravens to win, and they did it quite convincingly. I think they looked comfortable from the get-go, the Ravens. I didn't really think that the Jets ever give them a problem to stop and think. I think Breece Hall looked very much, I think him and, again, friend of, Matt, his guy Michael Carter, I think they very much looked a 1A, 1B role in this game. Yeah. And I don't think Breece Hall really looked like he was going to score a touchdown at any point. So got it all wrong, didn't I, with Breece Hall? So, but yeah, there's hope that he does take over that running back room and does become the superstar that everyone thought he could be coming out of college. What did you think?
Yeah, I really hoped that the Jets was going to show us something this year and come out like these Lions and Texans teams and just show a bit of spirit. And I just didn't really think that they did, which was a bit of a shame, really. Yes, I know they have Flacco at QB, but I can't imagine that Zach Wilson is too much better at this time. And I don't think they're really showing us that they think he is either. So I think they're going to struggle once again. And we saw the Ravens walk all over them, which was a real shame. So our next game was actually another really interesting close game. The Saints just managed to beat the Falcons 27-26. Now, Mags, you had a Saints win. As usual, you got this correct. But you did have Kamara to have a rushing touchdown. And unfortunately, didn't get any touchdowns in this game. How did it go, Mags?
Yeah, this was like a late night kebab of a game, right? This was sloppy, right? It was kind of just like what was going on, but you know what? I still enjoyed it, right? Just like that late night kebab. It's like, wasn't really sure what was going on. Alvin Kamara, what was going on there? He had 9 carries in total. I thought he would have got a touchdown, but only getting 9 carries in total. Whenever you compare that to Cordarrelle Patterson, he had 22 carries in that game, right? That is, amazing. So for those people who thought that Cordarrelle Patterson's going to have a regression this year, he was the entire offense last year. So a bit of an odd prediction to make, thinking that he was going to fall off a cliff this year. So Patterson looked great. Kamara didn't look good at all. But hey, isn't it nice to see Michael Thomas back, right? He looks very upset at everyone, even after he scored those touchdowns. And that nice face paint made him look like he'd been listening to My Chemical Romance. And he went all emo on everyone. And I absolutely loved it. It's good to see Michael Thomas back.
Hey, I love My Chemical Romance.
Yes.
Yeah, but mate, it was like the Saints of 3 years ago. Taysom Hill running in touchdowns on trick plays, and Michael Thomas catching touchdowns for fun. And you're just like, is this the Saints of old? But we'll see. I agree with you. I think it was a sloppy game. I think the Saints kept opening the door and letting the Falcons in, and then the Falcons would catch up, and then they go, oh, actually, no, we need to play football again, and then they score, and then they kind of, so I think it was a bit of a sloppy game. I think the Saints may struggle against a better team, so I'm not hopeful for anything that the Saints could do this year. I think they're a long way, and I think they need to get Kamara into this game. If you don't get Kamara into this game, you're always going to be looking for that trick play with Taysom Hill to get you something going, Yep. But on to the Commanders beating the Jags 28-22. Hannah, you had a Jags win. You got it wrong, unfortunately. And a T-Law has a touchdown first and not an interception, which you got correct. But
One
he
out
did
of
get an
two.
interception at the end.
Well, he did. 1 out of 2 is better than none, which I have done for the last few. We're back on the Wentz roller coaster, aren't we? He did all right. You know, that he had some great plays, but then he had some really bad decisions. And once again, he gets 2 interceptions. And I think he's going to get interceptions in every game. But he has some amazingly talented wide receivers around him. And they just showed out their talent today. And I think they're part of the reason why they kept Wentz on his feet and got that win. I mean, what an amazing pickup Dotson was. He looks pretty awesome alongside McLaurin. And then Samuel was working his magic kind of in the middle. I think this team is going to do okay this year with the wide receiver talent that they've got, as long as they can keep Wentz under control. T-Law, look, number 1 pick last year. We all expected big things of him. I think he just needs to calm down. I think he's just too tense and he's not playing naturally. He's forcing things. And yes, he got a couple of touchdowns, but he did get that interception. I think he just needs to calm down and play the game like he knows he can. I think he's been damaged by Urban Meyer. The question is, can we get him back or not? I just have to mention James Robinson. What an amazing comeback from that Achilles injury in week 16. I thought there was no hope that he was going to play anyway decent this year, but he had a really good showing. And actually, I was a bit disappointed that ETN didn't have more touches because I have him everywhere in fantasy. But hey.
Yeah, it was a nice game. It was good to see you, right, James Robinson there. I'm seriously worried about Trevor Lawrence. I don't know if he's ever going to be able to pull it. He almost needs to like shave his head and start again, right? He's damaged goods at the minute. I'm a bit worried about him, so we'll see how he does. He has the talent, but we'll see how he does. And you know, we onto the last game that we seen there. It's the Bucks who beat the Cowboys 19-3. Paul, you called it. You said the Bucks were going to win. But I asked you if you thought Chris Godwin was going to play. You thought no. Chris Godwin ended up playing and made some nice plays in there. What do you think of this game?
I don't think Chris Godwin should have played.
Yeah.
He's now injured with a hamstring and looking to miss a couple more weeks, you know? So it was just another day in the office for Tom Brady and the Bucks. I think they just turned up, did what they had to do, and left, you know? And the Cowboys can't catch a break, can they? And yet again, they're in need of a helping hand at QB. So, just saying it now, Jimmy G to the Cowboys.
Ooh, I like it.
We'll see what happens, eh? Losing Dak is a massive blow for this team, isn't it? I mean, their hopes of getting a wildcard berth, I think, have now gone up in smoke unless they do something about it. They can't roll out Cooper Rush every week for the next 6 weeks and expect to get into the playoffs. So, like you say, we'll see if Jimmy makes it there or what moves they make. It ruined the game, didn't it? It stopped it being competitive and it became just a pedestrian Brady game, which was a real shame because I thought this was going to be great fun. But talking of great fun, well, for some people, we're going to move on to our game of the week. So, I was overpowered here. I obviously didn't think that this was the game of the week because it was extremely interesting being a non-neutral. But we chose the Steelers at the Bengals as game of the week. Paul, tell us what happened.
So the Steelers beat the Bengals in overtime, 23-20. Hannah, you predicted a Bengals win and you predicted Burrow to go under 300 passing yards. And you got them both wrong. Tell us about it.
This is a really upsetting loss. I'm gutted. They're division rival, and it's week 1. And the thing is, they had 5 turnovers on defense. Burrow, I don't know what he was doing to get started, but they still only won in an overtime with a field goal. So although I'm absolutely gutted we lost, I do have some kind of hope for this team. Burrow had his obviously appendix out over, the off season, and he missed a lot of training camp. It was not quite a routine surgery. I reckon it's taken him some time to get over that. He's still trying to kick off the rust. I'll let him off for his first throw of the 2022 season being a pick 6. Totally devoed. It reminds me of our playoff game against the Titans where we did that to them. I am gutted that our revamped O-line is not looking any better than our shit O-line last year. They did have some terrible struggles. But I think they'll get there. They will get there. It will take time. We've got a rookie left guard who was our 3rd round pick. I think he had quite a few struggles. He needs to get into the NFL and get adapted to it really quickly. Our long snapper injury cost us dearly. That's why we didn't win this game, which is a real shame. I do think, though, with Trubisky at the helm, the Steelers do need their defense to keep them in this game. They had 13 first downs, whereas we had 32. So basically, they won all on defense. They have some great skill position players, but I just don't think Trubisky can get the ball out to them consistently enough to make them a winning offense. So they're going to have low-scoring games or defense propping them up. What did you guys think? I think it was a real fun game for a neutral or a Steelers fan, but for a Bengals fan, I didn't particularly enjoy it.
I mean, there was just so much to it. I mean, that Jamar Chase catch that didn't really count, the one he caught off his helmet as well with one hand, spectacular, absolutely amazing. I mean, the missed field goals towards the end, the one hitting off the post, and I can't lie, whenever Evan McPherson missed, the first thing in my head was, I bet he said, "Can you believe we're about to beat the Steelers?" And then he missed, and I absolutely loved every second of it, and I'm not going to lie. So I was pleased whenever McPherson finally missed. That's been coming for a while. So that was a bit of hatred that I'd stashed from last year. I think that kind of came through this year. So I wasn't too upset to see the Bengals lose, but my goodness me, the Steelers should have won by a landslide. 5 turnovers and you only just win like that. That's not a good sign. I think you were unlucky, and I think the Steelers had a fair bit of luck on their side there. Paul, what do you think?
I just got to say first, it's the long snapper. That's the only reason McPherson didn't get that kick. It's the long snapper. McPherson is a legend, right?
I was literally about to point out, I think the best thing about what you were just saying there, Mags, was Hannah was just like waiting to put in and just put you right with what you said. And she was like she was in school, like one of your students with a hand up, just like, "Please, sir, let me talk."
I had to put in. I had to do it. At first.
Yeah, so that Steelers defense was unreal. But I also think now that TJ Watt has got a suspected torn pec, that could be massive for them. I think, we were saying it earlier about how Von Miller has turned up to the Bills and just changed the whole dynamic of that defense. I think losing TJ Watt could be massive for them. I agree with what you're saying, Mags. They should have absolutely dominated the Bengals. They should have seen you off so early. And it worries me on the Steelers offense that they just can't get anything going. They just literally couldn't get anything going. How you were still in that game going into the fourth quarter was beyond me. They should have. It should have been. Dare I say it should have been like the Cardinals Chiefs game. Sort of dead and buried, But nevertheless, I think you were very unlucky. Very unlucky. That Jamar Chase catch in the end zone where his foot was like an inch out. You know what I mean? Yes, his foot was out, but you were like, give him that inch. The man the catch he's made is unreal. I think you're very, very unlucky. I honestly thought you were good. Look, you're doing it again. You're chomping at the bit to get your. I want to defend the Bengals. I'm defending them here.
I was actually going to say, I think we dug our own grave. We let them have the 5 turnovers. It was all on us, really. Yes, the Steelers' defense is awesome with TJ Watt in the field for sure, but we see them twice a year. We should know them. We should be ready for them. We shouldn't have let them have 5 takeaways. I think this O-line hurried Burrow too much, and that's why we got these picks. And yeah, I'm dead disappointed. Let's put it that way.
I do feel a bit bad though. You know, it's our first game of the week, and we've literally picked the one that the Bengals had a bad day in the office. You know, so next week we'll
It'll be Arizona's bad day in the office, right?
Well, yeah, I'm kind of glad we didn't pick that one, to be honest. When you asked me what's our game of the week, I was just like, oh yeah, it's going to be this one. It's not going to be the Chiefs Cardinals. Max, please don't say that. You know, didn't want to go for that.
Well, I would be absolutely shocked. I mean, just looking at the teams next week, the Chiefs and the Chargers, no matter what happens, that's got to be game of the week, right? What a game that is. That's going to be up there, right?
Yeah, well, we'll see what you say when the Chargers beat you 44-21. We'll see if you think it's game of the week then.
I know.
We'll be putting it in anyway, though, won't we, Paul?
Yeah, we definitely will.
So we've got to get to our prediction scoreboard, right? Week 1. Come on, Paul. You and I have done pretty shocking. Mags is leading the way with 6 out of 8 correct, and we're tied at 3. We've got to sort ourselves out. I personally think, though, that Mags got the easy ones. He got the obvious winners.
He made the show sheet last week, so he gave himself all the guaranteed ones and just went, oh yeah, Hannah and Paul can have the really difficult ones. I'll take all the easy ones, you know?
Yeah,
it's a dog eat dog world.
So it's my turn this week. So I've basically put a load of shit ones for you two so that I can win.
Love it.
My biggest question this week, though, Paul, is did we win you any money with our predictions?
Absolutely not a penny.
That's totally our fault, because if we'd have just put Marx's ones on, I'm sure we would have won.
Yeah, probably.
So don't listen to us in future. Right, our next section, which was pretty good fun, is our hit rewind section. So here we're going to discuss our favourite plays of the week. My favourite one this week was actually something that we don't see every week, and that's safety Justin Reed kicking an extra point. He did an awesome job after Harrison Butker was carted off the field. Yes, he missed one, but his first one, he drilled it straight through the uprights. And the other thing he did was he did a punt, and my God, did that thing fly far and go through the uprights as well. He is awesome. So if Butker misses time, I'm really looking forward to seeing him doing some kicking. Go on, Paul. What was your favourite?
You're not going to like this one, Hannah. It's the play from the game of the week, and it's the Steelers' last-second field goal block by Minkah Fitzpatrick. And I know you're going to blame the long snapper, and we've all heard that. You know, so many groups lit up going, "This is why you need a good long snapper," and everything like this. But let's be honest, Minkah Fitzpatrick had himself a day. He was awesome throughout the whole game, and then he topped it off. The Bengals could win it, and he just went, "Not today, not today." But yeah, Max, what's yours?
Yeah, I love that, Minkah. Just a little quick note on you mentioned Harrison Butker there, right? I almost picked Harrison Butker hitting a field goal with one step from 54 yards after that. Unbelievable, right? But I had to go for the one that I literally had to hit rewind on a couple of times to watch it again and again. And it was in the Commanders-Jags game. And it was Travis Etienne being carved in two by Derek Forrest, the biggest hit of the weekend for me. It was one of those moments where you just like, oh, you could feel it, and you felt sorry for poor Travis. So that was my hit rewind moment of the week.
Love it.
So there's a few games that we didn't actually manage to predict last week, surprisingly, since we seemed to get through 1 million. But let's go through the rapid recap, best of the rest. So I luckily got Chargers Raiders, and the Chargers beat the Raiders 24-19. Blummineck, Devontae Adams took no time to settle into that offense, did he? There was me last week thinking, oh, he's going to take ages. No, he gets 141 yards from 10 receptions and a touchdown. He was basically the Raiders offense yesterday. Yeah. Carr had a pretty difficult night with 3 interceptions, but that O-line blooming heck, couldn't save anything. It was like a sieve. As soon as the ball got snapped, they were through them and after Carr. So I don't really blame him. That Chargers D-line looking really nice with Khalil Mack there. Be interesting to see what they manage to do with Kansas City next week and whether they have Mahomes running around. So we'll see how things go. But of course, Herbert did Herbert things and he led them to a win. So I think it's quite a fun game, this one. Paul, what about the Vikings and the Packers?
Yeah, I got a really good game. If Mags was doing the show sheet, it would have been something awful like but I got a really, really good game. So, yeah, did I see it going this way? Absolutely not. Did anyone see Aaron Rodgers leaving this field with such a bad game? No. I think the Packers are in a bit of a mess. Everyone said he'll be all right with that Devontae Adams. It's Aaron Rodgers, and I kind of feel that he needed that Devontae Adams presence there yesterday to maybe lift him up a little bit. I think, sometimes he throws a few balls to Devontae when he was there and it'd get him going a bit and he'd get warmed up. And I think he needs to find that player that's gonna help him take the step to the next level. But I don't know. I thought the Packers looked pretty mediocre yesterday for a team that you'd say are was like set in stone going to the playoffs. I think they look pretty mediocre, and to lose to the Vikings, who is the biggest rivals as well.
Yeah.
And I read somewhere that the Vikings is the only team that Aaron Rodgers has multiple losses to since 2020 or something. So he really struggles against the Vikings. But yeah, let's just take a moment to appreciate Justin Jefferson. The guy is an animal, and he just turns up and he does what it says on the tin. He literally just turns up. Kirk Cousins throws the ball, he catches it, and he's just insane. And the other player I wanted to mention was Zadarius Smith on his revenge game. He had a sack, an interception, and he stopped AJ Dillon on the goal line as well, didn't he? And I'm just like, this guy went, I don't like the Packers, and I'm going to have my revenge. And he went out and he got it. And fair play to him. I bet he woke up feeling like a king today. But yeah, Max.
Absolutely agree with that. And just one thing as well, actually, Justin Jefferson in the preseason said he was talking to Kevin O'Connell saying, how the hell did you guys get Cooper Kupp to be so wide open all last season? And then he left a comment in preseason saying, oh, I get how that happened. And we kind of seen that today, I think, or yesterday, we kind of seen even the commentator says, like, how is Justin Jefferson so open? So whatever Kevin O'Connell did at the Rams, he's doing the same at the Vikings. They are going to be tough to stop. And, I got to see the Giants beat the Titans. And, I only made one note about this game because it kind of sucked. Saquon Barkley was awesome, right? And then the very end, Randy Bullock, he dropped the bollock, didn't he?
Let's all take a moment for Saquon's fantasy career is coming back.
Yes.
All the people that held him for so long, he's back. You watch him get injured next week.
He looked good, didn't he? He really did. So before we move on to week 2, we've got to have a little bit of acknowledgement of Monday Night Football. So Monday night, Denver at Seattle. Wilson returns to Seattle. And I think that's probably about as exciting as this game is going to get. So I'm going to ask you both, but I think we all know who we think is going to win. Who have you got as your winner, Paul?
Denver, quite easily, if I'm honest.
Yep, same. Denver, I think that'll be a nice introduction for them. I think they'll win quite easily.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to seeing Wilson in that new offense and how he's going to gel with his different receivers. But that's about as exciting as I think it's going to get. So let's move on to week 2. Let's start previewing and seeing what our predictions are. So, Paul, I think I've been pretty nice to you this week. And the first game I've given you to predict is the Chargers at the Chiefs. Sounds tight on Mags, but I thought you can't be looking at the Chiefs games every week. Okay. So, Paul, give me your winner and tell me, will Khalil Mack have over or under 1.5 sacks?
So, I'm going to go for a Chargers win.
Ooh.
Obvious. I just want the Chiefs to lose. Literally just want them to lose. And that's because they beat the Cardinals, and I want to see Mag's smile wiped off his face. Yeah, so I think the Chargers are going to win, and I think this is going to be your high score game of the week. I think fantasy players should be starting everyone in Chargers or Chiefs uniforms. I think this one is going to be a shootout. It has been. I think the last couple of seasons, I'm not 100% sure on the scores, but the last couple of seasons they've been shootouts. So I'm going to go a Chargers win, and I'm also going to go for the Khalil Mack under. I don't think he's going to get more than one sack. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, obviously wrong, Paul, but that's fine.
Yeah. Mags, so Hannah's decided a really, really cool game for you, and something that seems like it's going to be nothing like the Chargers Chiefs, and that's the Patriots at the Steelers.
I do have to be honest here. I did have the Bengals and Cowboys in, and then I saw that Dak was out for 6 weeks, and I was like, nah.
Yeah. Fair.
But we all know that Joe Burrow likes to pass to the opposing defense, though. So,
only in week 1.
But yeah, going off topic there, Mag. So Patriots at the Steelers. Who do you think is going to win that game, and which Pats running back has the most yards?
I mean, yeah, this could be a slow game here. Neither team looked particularly great. The Steelers are going to really miss TJ Watt, but I still think the Steelers will get the job done over the Pats. And I'm going to go with the hot hand from last week. Damian Harris looked better with the ball last week. He got more yards. He made the most of the carries that he got. And I imagine Belichick and the team will just kind of carry that hot hand in. And Ramondre Stevenson's going to have to wrestle that 1A role from Harris. And it might take him a few weeks, but I don't think it'll take him just the 1 week to wrestle out west. So I'll go Steelers win, and I'll go with Harris to have the most yards out of the two main running backs. And well, hopefully we see Ty Montgomery do another roly-poly as well, right? That'd be fantastic. So my next one over to Hannah is you got the Bucks at the Saints. So Hannah, tell us, who do you think is going to win? And do you think Michael Thomas is going to score another touchdown while he's listening to Welcome to the Black Parade?
Look, we totally know that the Saints have had Tom Brady's number ever since he's got to Tampa. Tampa have never managed to beat them in the regular season. Yes, the Saints were messy in week 1, but this is a proper division rivalry, and they bring out their A game whenever they're visiting Tampa. So I'm actually going to go for a Saints win. And look, MT is back. He is a red zone rifle. He's a proper weapon. He gets open even when he's not open. We know he's going to be Winston's favourite target. I'm going for an MT touchdown and a Saints win. Good luck, Tom Brady.
Love it.
That is spice. Right there. I love it. I
totally thought, I was like, 2 in line last week, 2 in line, and it blew up in my face. I'm going crazy. I'm going to push it out on a limb. You want to say the Bucks, don't you? Everyone wants to say the Bucks, Tom Brady, but I'm like, Saints. They've got their number. I'm going Saints. Right, Paul. Another one for you. Dolphins at Ravens. I think this is going to be actually a really interesting one. So tell me, who's your winner? And who will score the first TD on the Dolphins? Is it going to be Tyreek Hill, or is it going to be Jalen Waddle?
I feel like you give me this one because I bet against the Dolphins last week, and I think you give me this one on purpose. So I'm going to bet against the Dolphins again because that's obviously the right thing to do. So I'm going to say the Ravens. I said earlier, I think the Ravens look really good. I think they look really, really drilled, and they look on it this year. So I think from the word go, I think they'll have Tua's number, and I think they'll give him a really tough day. So I'm going to say a Ravens win, and I'm going to say neither of them get the touchdown. And I think the Dolphins have a really tough day and maybe get one touchdown, but I think it's going to be bit of a randomer, somebody that we might not see or hear from for maybe, another 5-6 weeks, or some trick play kind of thing. I think they're going to struggle to break the Ravens down, and I think it's going to be a bit of a, we're going to have to try and get something going. Do you remember, was it Ryan Fitzpatrick where they had that like sidearm pass where he was like running and it, it's going to take something like that to break this Ravens down, and I think it's going to take it something a bit crazy to get it done. But yeah, so
that's like a second touchdown then, right?
Yeah,
we'll see him once and then never again this season.
Yeah. Somebody of that kind of caliber, somebody that you're going to turn up, catch a ball, and it'll be like, and then fantasy owners go a bit crazy for them for a while and be like, oh yeah, he scored a touchdown, and it's like you won't hear from them again for a while. But yeah, Mags, you've obviously had the game of the week next week. Again, no, you had the crap one last time, but yeah, you've got a really good game here, and that's the Cardinals at the Raiders. So who do you think is going to win, and do you think Davante Adams has over 1.5 touchdowns?
So, I mean, I know you guys told me that you were going to make the predictions a bit more difficult, but this was pretty straightforward, right? I mean, this is a Raiders win, and you thought last week was Davante Adams' breakout. Just wait until he plays the Cardinals. My goodness me, right? That's going to be an absolute treat to watch. I've got the Raiders winning this game. I've got Davante Adams. It's always hard to say over, 1.5 touchdowns, but I'm going to go with the over. I think he's going to end up getting it. The Raiders' run game didn't look particularly good last week, so I wonder if they're going to be, a pass first team in the red zone instead of trying to pound that ball in. And if you're a pass first team in the red zone, you have the best wide receiver in the business at catching touchdowns in the red zone, Davante Adams. So I think he's going to get that over. I think the Raiders will win. I expect the Cardinals to address some of the issues they had against the Chiefs and put up a bit more of a fight against, a vastly inferior Raiders team compared to the Chiefs. So I think Cardinals play well, but I think Raiders get it done. I think Adams ends up with 2 or more touchdowns. And the last one I've got over for you, Hannah, is Panthers at the Giants. So who do you think is going to win? And is your guy, Saquon Barkley, going to get above or below his 194 all-purpose yards that he got this week?
Do you know what? Looking at these predictions this week, I've been way too nice to you guys, and clearly I don't want to win the predictions. I've totally shat on myself here, haven't I? I'm way too nice. I know next week Paul is totally going to shit on me, and I need to up my game here to try and make sure that I get on this scoreboard and try and beat Mags. But do you know what? I'm going to go for a Giants win. And Saquon, he ran all over everyone last week. Yeah. And didn't we see Carolina do the exact same thing? Cleveland, do the exact same thing to Carolina last week as well. So I can see another massive Saquon game. He's going to carry this offense and he's going to lead them to a victory. And I'm saying Giants beat Carolina and Saquon runs or catches more than 194 all-purpose yards. I'm going to do it. I'm going to plant the flag and I'm going for it.
Love it.
Week 1 was pretty awesome. I absolutely loved it, and I've loved chatting over it with you guys and having a look forward to week 2 and seeing what's coming up and what predictions we can make and who we can shit on and try and stop them going up the leaderboard. Guys, this has brought us to the end of the show. I've really enjoyed it with you both. Any last takeaways from week 1?
Oh, I mean, week 1 was just awesome. So many moments where you're like, whoa, like those like OMG moments. And it's just great to have football back. And it's great to be sitting here chatting with you guys on the Wildcard Rewind. So guys, make sure you're liking, you're subscribing and all of that good stuff. And yeah, just thanks for tuning in, and can't wait to be talking, week 2 next week.
Yeah, it's been an exciting week 1. We had overtime games. We had players that have been out injured coming back. We had some amazing field goal stops. We had big hits. We had everything. We had draws. We had the lot, and it makes it so much easier for us to chat if we've got things like that to talk about. If they were all pretty mundane and everything went the way. So it's been an amazing week 1. I can't wait to come back to rewind week 2, and I can't wait to find some real shit for you to pick, Hannah, into week 3. So I look forward to that.
I am not being nice anymore. That's it. I am going for it. So thank you all so much for joining us. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter at Wildcard Rewind, and we would love to hear from you. Give us any suggestions for games you want us to predict in week 3, and also any predictions that you might want us to give each other to try and get up that scoreboard. Don't forget also to head on over to our YouTube channel and search the Fantasy Wildcard Podcast Network, and you can see our lovely faces reviewing week 1. So we will see you next week when we rewind week 2. Let's bring it on.